Hey, Coach, are you always looking for a way to give your team a competitive advantage? Let me introduce you to Winning Edge Performance Analytics. Our technology captures comprehensive game data using your terminology and provides you with in-game analytics. In real time, you're able to quickly assess your opponent's tendencies and perform self-scout on the sidelines. Winning Edge is designed to help you spot more opportunities during the game so that you're not left wishing you'd noticed something during film review. Plus, Winning Edge automates film tagging, so you can say goodbye to hours of manually tagging over the weekend and get more time with your family. Our product is also budget friendly for programs of any size. And as a Coaching 101 listener, you'll get a 20% discount off your first year with promo code 20 off Coaching 101. All one word, no spaces. If more family time and more wins sound good, visit winningedgeperformanceanalytics.com to schedule a demo. We'll help get your team the advantage that you're looking for.
This podcast is powered by Team Builder Practice. Team Builder Practice is all the things you love about Team Builder's OG strength and conditioning software, but for football coaches. Keep practice plans in one central location, stay organized, and share plans with your whole staff with our software, designed with the football coach in mind. Team Builder Practice is offering a 30-day free trial to all listeners with the code COACH101. Head to teambuilder.com/practice to start your trial today. Football made simple. Become great at your craft by finding ways to make it simple for those around you. This is the Coaching 101 podcast hosted by Findaway Productions with your co-host, Daniel Chamberlain and Kenny Simpson. What is up, coaches? Coach Chamberlain. That over there is Coach Kenny Simpson, and we are joined tonight by Brady Bradbury of the Adair Warriors. Coach, been a long time coming, man. Excited to finally get you on the podcast, and I'm excited to hear you on both of them, honestly.
Absolutely.
Been a big fan of y'all's. I know I'm like 35 minutes from you or something.
Yep.
So obviously, I get to follow your feats every year and see how good you do. Pumped for you, though. So let's just jump into your introduction real quick, and then we'll kind of get on with the episode.
All right. Like Coach said, I'm Brady Bradbury. I'm the head coach at Adair High School in Oklahoma. We're a little 2A school. Historically, we've been pretty dominant. We have won state championship in 2015. Played quarterback here from 2010 to 2012. Went on to play safety at Pittsburgh State, Division II. It's about an hour and a half from here. Pretty prominent Division II. Got done with that. Wanted to go the college route, but I had my kid, first child, as my senior year of college, and it kind of God had a different plan for me, and it somehow opened up a spot back here. My old high school coach was the superintendent. And was going to mentor me 1 year to groom me basically to be the OC here. So I got to learn from the defensive side and then transfer over to the offensive side. Did pretty well the first year, second year, and then we had a little bit of a lull. Went 6-5 and then went 2-8. Happens at public schools sometimes. Then I got lucky enough to be the head coach 2 years ago in 2023. Started out 0-3, then went on an 8-game win streak, won the district. Hadn't done that in 2 years. And then this last year we went 10-0 in the regular season. Got to the second round or quarterfinals now, and got beat to Davis, which is a historic rival for Adair in the playoffs. There's been 5 games, and they've all been 3 points or less. We got beat by 3 this time, but we're going in the right direction. But it can always be better. So,
Hey, listen, those Davis Wolves, that's everybody's postseason rival.
Yep.
Pretty much anybody that plays them goes home. So it's unfortunate that you guys, had to go. Look, as a player, I got put out by them when I played at Beggs, and Jesus Christ, way back when, early 2000s. I don't want to talk about that, actually. So, yeah, I mean, they're everyone's rivals in the postseason. So, I guess there's no better team to lose to than just the guys who end up winning it all the time, you know?
Yeah.
Well, man, we're super excited to have you on the show tonight. Thank you so much for taking some time out of your evening. I know we just got off dead week, so I'm sure you're kind of jumping back into football anyway. But we're, like I said, we're very happy to have you on here.
Appreciate it.
Kenny, I guess you've been pretty busy too. Your dead week was not dead, right?
No, I think a lot of guys that probably listen to podcasts know that I guess we got to have another side hustle. We don't have quite enough of them. So we started a firework company about 2 years ago. I sold fireworks for forever. Last 2 years ago, thought, man, let's even combine the best of two worlds. I love coaches. I see how you can make money in fireworks and how it can help them. So we did 12 locations this year for coaches to run. And I ran a warehouse in Little Rock that we sold out of, and we supplied some of these. Eventually, we're going to figure out how to make money selling fireworks. I think everybody else has figured it out, but I really enjoy the part of helping coaches and watching them get a check that really. I remember when I was a coach and my wife was staying home, and you make $5,000 or $10,000 in 2 weeks. That's a big deal. So really cool to be the one getting to write those checks. I would like to maybe write one to myself at some point. Hopefully the next year or two. I think we're really going in the right direction. But that's a lot of work. If you've ever done a firework tent or a firework building, it's a short burst. But my goodness gracious, I got home last night at 11:30. Started unloading trailers at 8 a.m. So, and I'm not a young pup anymore. So I'm pretty tired.
That's to give away. Obviously, side hustles are there to make money, and you got to do them in your free time. But it's like your big free time in the summer, right? Because you finally, the true off season of football for coaches is that dead week. And then you give yours away to go and do another job.
And luckily, I'm the head coach, so I always plan Jamie and I the last week of July. I give our kids off, I give our coaches off, and we kind of take our husband-wife vacation then. I usually do something with the family early in the summer, like into May, and do something with just me and the wife. I'd encourage every coach here who's married at some point, pick whenever you're going to do it. Not the family. The family's important. Definitely go on vacation with them. I'm not telling you not to do that, but even if it's just a weekend, take your wife to a hotel, the city across the way. I mean, whatever. It doesn't have to be expensive, but go do something with your spouse right before the season hits. It's one of the best things we've done.
Yeah, that's awesome. We tried to make that work last year, and we couldn't find the right location. And this year it was like we ended up having a vacation schedule, so we were not even going to dig into fireworks this year. We'll give it another go next year probably. Some people do it around here at New Year's. I don't know what the profit margin is to worry about getting a place for New Year's, but it's good to have another side hustle, man. I feel you with so many irons in the fire, right? That's what everybody tells me. You got too many irons in the fire. So
they said I'm busier than a one-legged man in a butt-kicking competition. I said,
that's right. That's right. That's
pretty good.
That's how Dad would have said it way back when, for sure. All right, man. Well, Kenny, I guess, man, if you get us our quote of the week, then we will move on with the show.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. This is Team Themes Volume 5. Coach is asking about when I'm finally going to get that out. Now that fireworks is over, my hope is to finish the book this week. Usually takes about 2 weeks once I submit it to the printer to get them here and get them out. But I should have them before August. So August, I'm hoping right before the season is a good time to get team themes because that's what you're wanting anyway. So Team Themes Volume 5. This quote comes out of it. It's, one of the words is being wise or wisdom. What is wisdom? What is being wise when you're talking to kids? It's Albert Einstein. It says, wisdom is not a product of schooling, but of a lifelong attempt to acquire it. I thought that was pretty good. I think a lot of times, I remember, especially young, when you're a young man, you kind of think you've arrived at 14 and 16 and 18. And then you start to realize the older you get that there's the ability to continue learning. That's the goal, and that's, I think for coaches, it kind of fits in well. And it's always good for kids. It's the same thing. You're never going to be perfect. Let's just continue to try to be better. I think that to me, that's wisdom.
Yeah, that's a good one. The attempt to acquire it is also good because I at 37, and I feel like I've hit that point where I remember when I was growing up and I learned computers like this, and Dad was like, I still can't run a computer. And now my kid he's hit that part of schooling where I'm like, I got to stay on top of it. So makes the brain sweat a little bit, just trying to get back into things they're doing, but it's good for us. All right, Coach Simpson, why don't you share some ways that coaches can make things simple for staff and athletes? What's up, coaches? I want to talk to you for just a few moments about your program. You know, the longer I'm in this profession, the more I understand that efficiency is truly the name of the game. You're talking offense, defense, doesn't matter, right? Eventually, you're going to come down to checking out your efficiency. So I have to ask you, are you doing everything in your program the most efficient way, right? Are you fundraising the most efficient way? Are you representing your players and your program to the public in the best way? Are you planning to build the facilities the most efficient way? If you answered no to any of those, or really even if you answered yes to all of them, and you haven't contacted Mark Bridges at Ace Sports, you're missing a key step. So look, Mark and his team, you know, they are the go-to group for video board and scoreboard installations for your school. They're not just football either. Mark can help you mock up your newest video board for your that new stadium, or maybe even your old stadium, right? That's where Mark and the guys come in. And we're not just buying a flashy thing, right? Yes, it's nice. It's pretty neat to have that big scoreboard, that big video board, but you're also, you know, you're investing back into that program. You're investing into that newest fundraiser. Sure, you can keep selling your discount cards, your beef jerky, hosting pie auctions, whatever it is that you like to do. But let's just be honest with ourselves, guys. We're not making enough money for those big ticket items. For the big ticket items like turf, an indoor facility, that's where you need a big ticket item fundraiser. That's what Ace Sports is offering you today. Guys, I've talked to Mark several times now, right? And it always comes down to big school, small school. Right? Well, of course, the big schools can afford that new video board, but the small schools really can't. It's just not true anymore, man. Your school isn't too small, and I promise. Okay, 1A, 2A schools, it doesn't matter. Mark and the guys, they're helping them out. Contact Mark today at mark.bridges@acesports.com and let him come give you a quote. Let him show you and your administration the plan. Now, really, it's the cheat code, right? Let him show you the cheat code that is fundraising with Ace Sports video boards. Tell him Daniel sent you. This episode is brought to you by Athletic Speed and Movement. At athleticspeedmovement.com, we've taken Del Basquet's 45 years of speed and movement training and put it all in one place just for you. You can get the same training that NFL players have been getting for years, collegiate players have been getting for years, and now high schools across the nation are paying thousands of dollars to bring Del in to install his system, but we've got it online for you. It's time to help your team become faster, not just in the 40, not just their sprint speed, but between the tackles and their cuts while they're chasing down the quarterback. It's time for you to help them become faster everywhere. Jump over to athleticspeedmovement.com. There's an orange button there. Just click it. It says, get the keys to playing faster. You'll get the 3 core movement video from Dell. He's explaining the science behind it, all for just the price of your email. Check it out, athleticspeedmovement.com. Appreciate that, Coach. Great things there, guys. If you aren't listening to the ads, you should be. I know that I listen to podcasts and I skip the ads, but please don't do that. Okay, we have some great sponsors this year. A few of the top ones here, Ace Sports, of course. If you aren't talking with Mark Bridges or someone on his team about getting a video board up at your school, you're missing out. If you're in Oklahoma, you can holler at me. You can holler at Ryan Hughes. We've got guys all over the United States that are putting up video boards. It's the next big thing. Turf was, for a while, everyone was getting turf. Most of the schools either do or will not get turf now, and then video boards is the next big thing. The ability to make it a moneymaker for you is where the real difference is. So holler at me if you need one of those. Team Builder Practice is sponsoring us this year, or this season. It's been really, really awesome working with them. Their new practice scheduler is kind of like putting all the goodies together, right? And I always talk about my favorite part is creating a drill notebook for your coaches. You can put together a video of a drill, put together a diagram of the drill. You can put together, you recorded your face talking about the highlights or the key points of the drill or what you plan to learn from it. And you can hand that to a new coach and he can run out and do the drill without a lot of over coaching. So a great place to get in there. You can also let your parents and administrators and your trainers, everyone can have a view-only look of your practice schedules and kind of what you're doing. So a little CYA there. If you're a coach that, you know, has got parents that are very up in arms about how much you're doing or what you're doing. But more than anything, just letting the community be involved, right? There's nothing wrong with a little bit of transparency. Winning Edge Performance Analytics. Hey, these guys are giving you a 20% off if you use, I believe it's 20 off Coaching 101 to jump into the Winning Edge Performance Analytics family. It does a lot of great things in game. You're going to be able to see your opponent's tendencies, your tendencies. Where are you efficient? Where do you need to pick it up at? But on top of that, at the end of the game, when you walk into the coach's office, your film is already tagged. Your formations, your plays, your tags, everything that you would have to go into Huddle to do, this exports and imports straight into Huddle, and you don't have to tag film anymore. So you kind of get rid of that. It's no longer a coach or a player scribbling on a pad, and you can't read it the next day, and you're trying to remember what play call you had. Nope, you don't get any of that. Everything is already digitally done for you. You import it straight into Huddle, and your film's tagged up, so you can get straight to work on breaking down whatever you need to. Don't forget that promo code 20OFFCoaching101 for 20% off this year. And then last but not least, Capital Varsity Sports, one-stop shop for sending all your helmets. I know we're just past refurbished season now, probably. I imagine you've all got your helmets back. Looking into next year, though, when you start needing to send those things off, you got Rydell's, you got Schutz, you got Zenith, you got whoever out there's making helmets nowadays. I'm surprised GE doesn't make helmets. They make everything else in my house. You send them all to Capital Varsity Sports, and you don't have to worry about sending off to every single company. That's Capital with an O, CAPITOL Varsity Sports. Contact Mike Holes, his Holes CVS Sports at gmail.com. Look at that. It scrolled exactly in time for me to read it. All right, that's it with the ads. Let's get into some football, boys. We'll start question 1 here. Brady, you're the guest, so you get to go first.
Okay.
So we'll just talking about establishing run plays, and we want to talk run game tonight. Stay away from all that weird stuff where you're supposed to put the ball in the air and give the other team a chance to grab it. I don't know what that's about. We want to talk establishing a run game early in fall camp. I know that football's evolved, right? Kenny runs an entire RPO offense. I'm sure you guys are throwing the ball around a little bit up there in Adair because we know you need to be versatile to win football games. You got to be able to do whatever the defense gives you, but we need to establish those base run plays early. So kind of what are you doing, Brady, to establish your base plays early in that fall camp install period and carrying it through those first few weeks so that your kids kind of know what your identity is?
Yeah, I kind of base ours off of kind of the air raid install, the day 1, day 2, day 3. And then I pair up similar blocking schemes together. So I pulled up our one from last year, and we were a little bit older. I think each team that you have is also different. So like this year, I'm going to have a younger O-line. I might not be able to put in as many blocking schemes early as I did last year. So last year on day 1, we did power. We're a power team. We're going to run power. We run Coach Simpson's belly, or we call it ISO. And then we'll run some duo with that. That's our day 1. And we stay with our base formations with it and really teach it up. It's kind of a continuation from spring for us. Same thing on day 2, and then we're going to go to counter. We're going to run GT, GH, and super counter. So that we spend a little more time on counter. And then we'll add in speed sweep so we can get our jet motion with our counters coming back the other way. And then day 3 for me, it's either going to be a review day, or if we have advanced well enough, we will put in like our long trap or maybe a specialty against a certain front that we like. So where that might be buck sweep or long trap for us. But that's our basis of how we put that in going into it. But we're evaluating practice every day to see if our linemen are picking up on that. Especially with the tight end wing, all those guys, we need to see if we're up to date on that. And then we will split our days. So like Monday, Wednesday for us is going to be an offensive day. And then Tuesday, Thursday in that spring camp will be more of a defensive day. And each day will have either 1 or 2 special teams based off that. But as a run game standpoint, constantly evaluating where your linemen are in spring camp. So you get your base stuff that you want in before you start adding the rest of it. Make sure you're really good at those fundamentals.
So I have to ask you, you talked about getting your jet sweep in. Here's Mike D, the referee. He likes your Einstein quote there, Coach Simpson. So I have to ask about what you said. You kind of basically everything was gap scheme. Duo, I teach his gap scheme. Counter, all the counters are gap scheme. You talked about buck sweep, which is gap scheme. What are you pairing with that jet to keep it with your base run plays and not have to install like outside zone or stretch?
Right. We go ahead and do outside zone because we do want to keep the jet aspect or 2-back stuff that year if we have it. But power read, counter bash, I guess what we just call it counter read here. Able to set up, a fake fly motion and run power. Or it's more to set up than it is to hang your hat on it. But I also think that varies year to year. This year it might be more of that. We got a pretty quick slot, so it just depends what we have and and where that goes from outside zone. Now, I will tell you, my first 2 years, I was a zone guy. We were inside zone, outside zone. That was day one, and then power counter was day two, and then whatever specialty we wanted then. We've been running long trap here for a while, so but that's my mentor was a zone guy, so learned it that way. But I now got a new O-line guy, and he was really good at gap scheme, so kind of was a perfect marriage for me. Didn't know it at the time, but it ended up being it. So
I understand the shiny object with zone blocking because it just makes you feel like you can block anything, right? And then gap, I mean, without all the special stuff like Kenny does with his, steal and all of his backside read stuff, I mean, realistically, somebody could just overload your play side, and there's too many for you to block down eventually, right? So I understand the want to get back into the zone. In fact, like my first year, we were zone, and I was digging in with at the time was Broken Arrows offensive coordinator and trying to learn how do you even teach gap. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fun to coaching it, but it's sometimes it can be a little difficult, especially you get small school ball. The kids aren't quite as talented. It seems like it can give you a lot of fits too, right? Like busted blocks.
Yep. Run throughs.
So it sounds like you're running, 3 or 4 or 5 different base run plays. How do you fill out what your best one is that year so you kind of know what to run with?
So 2 years ago, we were not very good offensively. We know we can run ISO at all times. So we do have one that we can run because we don't like Coach Simpson knows you don't have to block them very long on that play to get up in there, and it's getting vertical. We've coached these kids up. We have the same coaching staff 6 through 12. That's a small school. So we really, those guys on day one are running power and duo. That's what they're going to run in 6th grade. So we kind of really essentially have it already built in when they get there that we're going to run power. But for me, it kind of goes off our quarterback. Like this year, we got a buffed up, he's a bullfighter on the side, catch it and go downhill. So power read's probably more our style and straight quarterback power. That's going to be what we do. Next year, I don't think it'll be that way. It'll probably be more RPO type stuff off the backside of that. So, but if we're having trouble with run throughs, let's say we get on the film and we're having trouble with run throughs, we're going to probably start leaning more into duo because we're not going to have those run throughs as much. So, and then just constantly teaching the fundamentals. It all comes back to the fundamentals of that.
I love it. Coach Simpson, same question to you, man. Kind of how are you establishing those base run plays? Obviously, Buck is kind of where you lay, you hang your hat on Buck and then some belly stuff. So is there ever years that has to change, or do you think it would ever have to change just because of the kids you have?
I think Coach has some good points when you talk about the experience of the line and how long you're at a school can change that too. We've been at a school now for a long time, and our kids have grown up in what we're doing, so that we're able to kind of move a little quicker. Like you mentioned, he got like 2 or 3 run plays in a day. That's hard to do if you're at a new school or you got a young line or it's a new scheme. So I think you got to be careful about that. If you're listening to the podcast and you're somewhere new, you may just do one the first day and then add another one as they kind of get comfortable at it. But I think a lot of that you mentioned, that you just modify and adjust, and you modify how the practice went. Did they pick up on what we were trying to do? And before we move on, are we good at what we're trying to run? It'd be the same thing in the passing game. What are we going to hang our hat on, or do we understand the concept? I don't want to move on and throw another concept in if that one's not where it needs to go. That he kind of touched on a little bit there. I picked up on a lot of essentially they're going to run the same runs, and now they're just adding in motions, and different guys are making the run, or maybe you're running same side runs, or maybe you're doing out of empty, or you're doing something with an orbit motion, or that's when, of course, the RPOs can come be part of that, where now it's the same run. Now we're going to read a different guy. So, to me, I think 1 or 2 runs a day is probably, if you're at an average school, probably good. If you're at a school where you've been there we've been here now running this offense for a long time, we could probably get away with doing more than that. Doesn't mean we do that. And also it depends on your state. Like Arkansas and Oklahoma, you get spring football.
Right.
Then we get summer. Like I'm going to a team camp Thursday. I'm going to see 4 or 5 of the best teams in the state. And I'm going to figure out real quickly what we're pretty good at and what we're not good at. So we roll into August, I'm going to have a pretty good idea of, okay, this is kind of who I think we're going to be. But if you're at a state like in the Northeast, they don't even get to start touching their kids really till August. So that can affect a lot of things, with your timeline might be shrunk down. So I hate to give just a standard answer. I think a lot of it is just you got to modify based on what you have. If you've been there a while, then I think you can do more. If you have not been there a while, I do want to mention this. You need to find whatever it is that you're going to hang your hat on. Like it's going to be a time in a game where even if you're a pass heavy guy, maybe you're a guy that, hey, coach, we want to throw the ball over the field. That's great. There's going to be a situation where there's 4 minutes to go and you got to run the clock out, or it's pouring down rain, or whatever it might be. You got to have something, you can hang your hat on in the run game. I don't think you have to have 7 somethings, more like 1 or 2. So
Right.
Figure out what those 1 or 2 are and get really, really good at those. And you kind of mentioned it, Daniel. I would be really hesitant to mix gap and zone schemes. Like I've seen that not work a lot. That doesn't mean you can't do that. It just means it can be really difficult to understand because they're both very different concepts. So just kind of be wary of that.
Yeah, and, some guys do it better than others. Joe has been doing it for years, right? He's big power and inside zone guy. Like that's kind of what he wants to run. I think we make up for the numbers with. I'm a big super counter guy too. So Brady, I'm glad to hear you come on here and already talking about super counter because that just lets us have an answer if you do want to overload one side. I don't need him backside. I'll send him front side. Right? It just gives us another thing to do. Coach England checking in. I think he moved around a little bit this year. Glad to have him checking out on the show. Coach, glad that you're listening, man. I do want to go back and touch on your install, and Kenny, you can kind of hit yours too in a minute. But Brady, you talked about doing the air raid install with the basically day 1, day 2, day 3. I did some work with Ron Mackey, of course, big air raid guy, and Coach England's over at El Reno now. So good luck over at El Reno, man. Then they'll really like having you over there. But the Ron Mackey's deal is he repeats days. So not only does he day 1, 2, and 3, but it's day 1 again, day 2 again. And, his reasoning is just because the kids get to learn an idea and start to kind of mold it. And the next day, because they have to recall it so quickly, they recall the same exact idea and then kind of get to polish it, right? So if you want to be a gun tee guy, you want to go out and run buck, or if you want to go out and run some inside zone, whatever it is, they have learned it. They've had to go home and go to sleep, and then they come back and get to show that they still know it. And it allows them to get that recall in and learn it. So, that's something I've really kind of leaned on is that third day or the repeat day installs. And you don't really run out of days still. Heck, we got generally 10 to 15 days of practice days in fall camp. So you're not going to run out of days. You just slow your roll. But I think it helps coaches too, because a lot of us are breaking in newer coaches. They don't have quite the idea of what they're supposed to be doing, but it lets you record practice, see the drills, and you can make corrections on your coaching staff. Hey, you need to go out and rework this, whatever, duo, right? We're not blocking duo correctly. So coach, here's what I see. What is your thoughts behind it? Great. Here's how you're supposed to be doing that. Now tomorrow you're going to fix that. And you look like you made the corrections, not like you came and talked to me, right? It helps them kind of in their, with their own position group. So what's up from Steamboat Springs? I just came home from Colorado, Coach. Appreciate you guys checking in from up there. Let's jump to the second question here. Big part of the run game is going to be getting the O-line and running backs on the same page. And Kenny, we're going to let you start because I know what you're going to say, and I'm sure that most of America does because we're all big gun T guys. But I still want to hear about your pods and exactly what you're doing to make sure all 5 or 8 or however many new O-linemen you got this year are hand in hand know what's going on with the running backs from this year. So how do you work through that?
Yeah, so we try to have basically what you call pods. I mean, you could call them whatever you want to call them. It's just podding, a grouping of people that usually don't work together. Generally you're not going to have your guards and running backs in the same group. That's just weird. But if you're going to run buck sweep or pin and pull or what we call Trojan or any of that stuff where you're asking a running back to read the block of an inserting guard or a wrapping guard, you got to kind of work that stuff. So to us, the pod is really twofold. Number one, it's working the guards on whatever their tracks are, whether that's buck sweep or it could be, our pin and pull type stuff we're running, or it could be like our version of what we call belly and coach calls ISO. It could be any of that stuff. The guard is working on his block. Well, the running back is working on what his tracks look like to get behind the guard. So you're kind of marrying those two guys together where he's learning, okay, if the guard pulls and wraps and he gets some seal, I need to take that thing outside. If the guy overplays it and he kind of kicks him out, I can stick my foot in the ground and, there's the hole. What we're also gaining from that is we're marrying up our quarterbacks with it. So the running backs and the linemen are kind of working the guards. We call this the live pod because there's a football there. Like there's a ball involved, so this is the live pod. The quarterback is usually working, it could be on day one, it might be one RPO, like read this one guy. Usually now, if you come watch us practice, the coach will just constantly move. So he's working all the RPOs with the run. Then we put our tackle, tight end, wing. Those guys are kind of a grouping that are going to work together on a lot of our blocking schemes. They're their own grouping. So they're working the same run. If it's buck, they're working on gap down, blocking down. If it's our pin and pull, they're working on the rules for that. If it's our belly, they're working on their rules for that. But they have to kind of work together. And usually for us, those pod times are not really a technique thing a ton. And it's not saying we're not talking about technique. We're mainly giving them all these random scenarios they might see. So tight end wing, tackle, they might get, 5-9 overhang. Then the next time they get up there to run the same blocking scheme, they're going to see 6 outside backer, and we're releasing to the inside backer. Then they might see 3, 9, whatever. We're going to give them all the different random looks to make sure they know their rule. Like you can't teach a kid you block him and you block him and you block him. If you do that, you're not going to be very good. Because even though it's gap scheme, it needs to be rule based. So what's your rule? If your rule is I have number 2 or I have whatever that is, or I'm blocking down, whatever that is, we want to give them all those looks. Then we'll take our receivers. I know we're not talking about receivers, but just to kind of complete the pod, they're working whatever would pair with that run. So that could be a screen, like a perimeter screen or a quick game. That could be a glance, like our peak route. That could be stalk blocking, because we do just run the ball sometimes with no RPO call. So they're going to work whatever would attach with that run. We try to do that for quick side runs and strong side runs. So we do it for kind of every run we have. But now when we say pods, our kids kind of know, I'm in this group. That now they may be working buck one day, and the next day they're working what we call Trojan or pin and pull. The next day they might be working belly, but they know I go with this group. Like this is my group when coach says pod. And now we're working, all kinds of different stuff. So that's kind of how we try to pair our things up. If you're an inside zone team, that probably don't work real well for you. But if you are a heavy pull guys and follow guys, it's been good for us. Or again, I work with a lot of colleges. They don't all have, like they'll run our offense, but they'll run it from a lot of different personnel groups. So, they may have tight end, tackle, wing together, and then they're going to keep that pod, and now they're going to have tackle, wing because they don't have a tight end. They're running 20 personnel. So you kind of have to pod up your groups with what you're trying to accomplish. For us, with a tight end wing attached, we work that a lot because we kind of live in that world. If we didn't live in that world, it might be a whole new grouping of people. Real quickly, it's kind of off topic, but we would do the same thing on defense. So if we're working, fits, we may take our outside backers and our safeties, because in a 3-4, they have to kind of fit off each other. Or we may take our safeties and our inside backers if they're fitting like cutback run support, because they got to kind of work together. So that's kind of how we try to think of these things is, we're going to have individual work, and then we're going to bring these guys together to work whatever concept we're trying to teach, so that we know that both coaches are teaching the same thing and we're linked together. And it's also good for the kids to see, oh, well, this is why I do what coach is telling me to do in individual, because I got to work with these other guys. So it's been really good for us on defense too.
Awesome. I'm really liking your big concept in practice and showing them the why, and then get into your individual stuff and then come back and see, okay, now you've learned both pieces. Let's put it all together. That's pretty awesome. Brady, same question to you, man. Kind of how are you getting your running back and your O-lineman to kind of pair up and be on the same page?
We do everything that Coach Simpson does, but I'll speak on one thing that we do at the beginning, like fall camp, going off fall camp a while ago, is we will, in pre-practice for 10 minutes early in the season, take the lineman, go through the blocking scheme, but turn around and look to see where the actual running back is supposed to go. So we kind of slow that down. This is kind of Joe's bird walk style, kind of turn around and look where that guy is going. So the guys, oh, I just don't need to get beat that way. They're 14 to 18-year-old kids. Like they sometimes, most people need to see it to understand it. So, but we do pod up like Coach does. We're big counter and power, just not so much buck, but we'll do our counter blocks with that. Take our tight ends, our H-backs, run super counter. We'll long trap it and have the running backs, have their lifeline and learn how to cut off that stuff. A log block on counter, just the same things that you're working on the pods there. We also do that with our, I know we're not doing passing, but our blitz pickup stuff. Like we take the tailbacks and go with the lineman, and he's essentially a sixth or seventh lineman for us in what we're doing at the moment. So our running backs travel with those guys quite a bit. So that is never a bad thing.
No, and you make a big point there about the pass pro, because a lot of guys are using, I don't know if you call it play action or run action or what, right? I mean, I spent the year at Stillwell, and we ran buck sweep and then just ran out behind the two guards and threw the ball. It was our rollout protection. So having that tailback paired up well with the O-lineman, I mean, you're right. It's not a bad thing. And they need to become best friends, right? They need to be able to do everything together and kind of sense when those guys are going to screw it up, or when is that block not going so well for him. You talked about being zone earlier, right? That's a big part of zone blocking, is giving true reads. It doesn't matter if I win my block or not. If I'm trying to reach a guy, I just need the running back to know if I have this block or not right now. So, he gets his third step, make a read. He's got to be able to plant off that read. If I'm not used to running behind those linemen, or I'm not working with them every day, obviously that can be kind of a convoluted or muddied waters, if you will. So, man, that's awesome. I think the pod thing is huge that Kenny's kind of putting out there. If you guys don't know anything about pods, get over to the Gun Tee, fbcoachsimpson.com. Look at the Gun Tee, get into the system, because it's big on all the practice things we're talking about tonight, and just leaning all in on one run. Of course, Kenny's a buck sweep guy and going to run some belly to counter it. But, Joe, FB Coach Simpson. Nope, sorry. What is Joe's? JoeDanielFootball.com, right? You can get in the same. I know. Trying to look, there's two of y'all trying to keep it all straight. JoeDanielFootball.com, and get into his systems. It's kind of the same thing. You're going to get power counter. You're going to get zone. But he's teaching the bird walk drill and some of those other tactics, right? And it's all just things to get O-linemen and running backs on the same page, so that on game night, there's way less confusion. And not everybody does that. Some people still just do a whole bunch of running back indie and a whole bunch of O-line indie. I mean, that's great, but they got to be able to do those things together too, right? Let's jump into the third part here. We're doing great on time. I was a little worried this one would run over tonight, but I think we're going to be okay. So we have hit the era of 7-on-7 being every kid's favorite time of the year, I feel like, right? There's way less hitting. There's way more touchdowns, whatever they're doing nowadays. Obviously, most coaches aren't a super fan of it. Some of them have bought in just because it helps them recruit kids. You got to go out and practice something. It is a good developmental period. If you don't go out there to win every stinking trophy, it's great to go out and develop your pass game, even if it's the same play all day long, like Kenny likes to do, right? So,
we won a tournament running smash and snag and flood.
There you go. 3 plays, win it all. As we hit fall camp, how are we rewiring? And Brady, we're going to go to you first here.
Okay.
So how do we rewire our players to kind of get out of that 7-on-7 mindset, get back into the real season's game plan? Kenny was big on air all the time talking about we threw the ball more in one day than we will all season. How do you get the kids ready for that when they've just spent the summer slinging the ball around?
I'm very fortunate right now that we have a physical mindset football team. Our guys are kind of upset that we're playing two-touch football. And we're typically in tight end wing. Well, we're trying to expand our pass game. We talked to them before. We want to expand our pass game a little bit. I think that will help open some stuff up for us this year. So just having the mindset of, hey, we're going into this to make something that's a weakness a strength. And we need all the reps that we could get at it. And it is fortunate too. I only like to go through June and not overload the 7-on-7. So we only had it one time a week, and we only got 2 in because of weather. So keeps them sharp, but still hungry for the fall for us. And then we always focus on, I'm a big rule of 3 guy. We had 3 culture things per 7-on-7 and 3 skill things that we needed to work on from the previous 7-on-7. So drops, routes, steps, whatever on the skills, and then attitude, effort, body language, that type of stuff for culture. But being transparent with our guys of, yes, this is not real football, but it's also an opportunity to go compete and make yourself better and see things for when the live bullets do come that you're ready to go.
That's like a really good answer because we have to capitalize on it. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but we don't actually in Oklahoma. There's no practicing for 7-on-7, right? You're just supposed to show up at a tournament and have all your stuff installed, but you've not talked football with your kids, and that's the rules, right? Because OSAA is strange.
Yeah, it's a little different, but Simpson says, if you're there and you have your kids for a long time, it's not too difficult. But when you're trying to do some new stuff, you just gotta be a little patient on that first 7-on-7 until you start moving around a little bit.
Yeah, so it really is almost like an install for us, right? Because we get there on that day. Hey, even if you I don't care if you take a dry race board out there and draw up what you're trying to get right. Hey, here's a concept, here's a route, here's a formation, whatever. But we can still do some install and use that as a midsummer practice, which still bizarre. They don't let us practice 7-on-7. We can go perform in helmets, but then we get to the fall and we can't have helmets on because we're not acclimated. Very strange ruling there, OSSAA. Maybe it's time to think about progression of whatever this is. Have your kids ever, you said yours are pretty hardwired into, they want to go play tackle football anyway. Have you had any issues with attitude or effort when they get back to real football because, hey, we're not throwing it around every play like we were? Have you dealt with anything like that?
I'm fortunate right now that I haven't, but I'm young into this, so I'm sure it's coming. Our guys are fortunate on the outside. My youngest brother is our wide receivers coach right now, that if you block and do what you're supposed to do with what we're doing, you're going to get a wide open touchdown eventually. So no block, no rock for you. So everybody's right now, we're in the honeymoon phase with it. So everything's going really, really good. There's no complaints there with our kids.
That's awesome, man. Kenny, same question to you, boss. Just kind of how are you getting your kids back out of the 7-on-7 mindset and into real season, gonna run buck and belly?
I kind of like Coach's answer. Because here's the deal: we don't throw it much either. Obviously, but we've got to get better. If you can throw the ball a little bit, it helps your run game. And if you're a guy here that wants to throw it a bunch, if you run it a little bit, it's going to help your pass game. So having just a little bit of balance, I think, will help. And most teams to win a state championship are going to have to be able to throw the ball. At some point in the season, you're going to have to be able to throw the ball because you're going to eventually play teams. They're going to force you to do that. So I think it's important to go ahead and try to embrace it as much as you can. We only do one. Arkansas, you can do like padded team camps. So I think we're a little different than a whole lot of other states. So I'm probably at a big advantage in that compared to everybody else. So we do one. We do it as a fundraiser for our school. And then we tell our kids, kind of like what Coach did, that I know this is not who we all are or what we do, but we won a game this past season. because we held the team to win the conference championship. We held their quarterback to 9 of 31 passing. So he threw the ball 31 times, and we caught 2 of them, and they caught 9 of them. And, that mattered. So we're going to work 7-on-7. So when we see that, we're ready. And we won a game. We won several games by 1 score where we threw 2 or 3 times. So our kids understand. I mean, you're going to have to do things. You just have to kind of be careful that they understand that's not who you are. Like, we're going to throw the ball more this year than we've probably thrown it in, I'd say, 10 years, because I've got a returning quarterback who's an all-state type kid. We had a kid transfer in as an all-state type receiver. We got an all-state wingback that can catch it. We got guys, so we're going to have to be able to throw the ball a little bit, to win the game. And so for us, we want to embrace that a little bit. But I do think, kind of to your point, the 7-on-7 culture, especially if you go down into like Texas or those areas where you have the leagues, it's just not a good culture. It's kind of like AAU basketball versus what I call real basketball, like high school basketball, where it's just a different mindset. So I would be the young coaches, I guess, to say that don't get overly encouraged or discouraged by how you finished in a 7-on-7 tournament. We won ours, and I said, all right, guys, you can go hang it on the urinal, because that's about what it's worth, but it was good for us to go compete, and it was good for our kids to see teams are going to throw it, and a lot of good things came out of it. But if we were playing those to win it, that's a different story.
We kind of forget about the defensive side. You are going to play teams that want to throw the ball, right? Now, we also have linebackers that spend all summer just backpedaling, and so you kind of have to be ready to get them getting back downhill to stop the powers and counters and inside and outside zone and do all the good stuff. But, those DBs need that work. It might be the only chance they get to truly work it, right? Because
especially if you're a run heavy. If you're a run heavy team.
If you're in a run heavy conference, man, like you may not see it until you get to the playoffs. And you're like, okay, now I remember back at 7-on-7 when we played so-and-so that's air raid, that's who's coming to town, right? It's the same type of team. You're going to have to lean back on that. Hopefully you're not just putting in 2-man and thinking that's a real Friday night defense, but whatever your thing is to make you win the game. Sweet. Well, guys, 3 great topics there. I think we checked those boxes. We've added a new piece to the show. We added it last week, and well, actually last week we missed a recording. Sorry, guys. Kenny was busy. I was on vacation. We missed a week. We dropped y'all Bruce Bush's conversation from the last time I was in Texas when I was down at Round Rock. Great conversation. Go listen to him. He's a slot T guy. He ran it for something like 30 years or something. Go listen to that conversation that we just put out Sunday. But we're going to talk about the situation of the week. And so, Brady, we're going to start with you here. And I just want to hear your thought process. What are you doing? Kind of what plays you calling? Is there certain formations you like to have in? Situation of the week for you, 3rd and goal to win the game. Game's going to come to an end. You got time to run 2 plays, which is great because if you don't get it on the second one, it's their ball anyway. So what are you doing? All the marbles are on the line.
All right. One, depends where we're at on the field. Yard
3rd and goal. Let's just say you're inside the 10 somewhere.
Inside the 10 somewhere. All right.
That's a big difference. That's a big difference from the 8 and the 4.
Yeah. Well, I'm just going to go from the 5. I'll go right in the middle.
I love it.
We'll go 3rd and 5. I'm probably going to have some sort of sprint out on the 3rd and goal to get an easy throw, some type of smash or something with the rollout to. If it's not there, quarterback can take off running. It's always a good thing for us usually. But really trying to get myself into 4th and 1, 4th and 2, because our community knows we're going to run power. We've hung our hat on it. That's what we want to get to, or counter, So my thought process, how can I get myself into that situation that we practice quite often? So, but from the 5, I like our rub routes. Your mesh, or sprinting out type of rub. So that's kind of where my process is if we're going from the 5.
That's awesome. So something just set up the run that you eventually want to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any message you're giving your guys before they go out to run those 2 plays? Is it like, I'm sure you've practiced this, right? We talk about practicing situations all the time. Is there anything you're telling your kids like, hey, remember this, or?
Hey, don't throw it to the other team. The best play you make sometimes is the one you don't. Depending on timeout situation there too. But the main thing is don't turn it over. And let's get us in a situation to live for the next down.
Love it. Coach Simpson, back to you for the same thing. 3rd and goal, sounds like from the 5. Got to score to win the game.
Yeah. So we actually had one of these happen a couple of years ago. Went to overtime, scored, and we knew we were going for 2. We knew we were going to go for 2. So it's, in my mind, kind of a similar situation. So a really old school coach trick is coming out of a timeout to run freeze, because now it's going to be 3rd and goal from the 2.5. I can almost guarantee you in that kind of situation now, you have to know your kids will hold their water because somebody's jumping off sides. Like if you go out there and any kind of hard count with that kind of pressure, if your kids will hold their water, now it's going to be 3rd and 2. And we did that. So we were going for 2, didn't waste the timeout. We practiced this, went on 2. Now we're going for 2 from the 1.5. And that changes your play calling, So really quick trick there. I'd probably be similar to Coach. It just depends on – I would always think about who's our best player, like who's our best guy. Is our best guy our quarterback? Then probably what Coach said. We're running some kind of get him out where he can – you got option 1, option 2, and then be a ball player. If he's our guy, that's what we're going to kind of do. If he's not our guy, man, I might run the ball twice. Like if what we're built on is this dude in the backfield, you hope you got something for him, maybe just catching a snap or something, where you can maybe get the numbers a little better in the box, and then hope you can get half of it and get half of it. The biggest thing I would do is I wouldn't panic right there. A lot of guys will get down there to 5, and then they'll run something they've not run. Or they'll run like a corner fade ball that you're like, that's got 0 chance of being caught, or they'll try to run some trick play like a gimmick. As a defense, you're like, thanks, because we're going to send the house. If you get it off, that's great, So to me, I think it's a lot about who's your best player. We're probably doing similar to Coach. We're probably going to give our quarterback 2 chances to win it if he's our guy. If he's not our guy, then we're going to be whatever our best run play is, and we're going to look at all of them and tell them, hey guys, try not to suck on this play. Give us a chance to win. I think a lot of it too is that mindset. Like your kids will feed off that. If you're over there panicking on the sideline, I know there's pressure because I've been in those moments. Of course there's pressure. The game's on the freaking line. No, the kids know it. Everyone knows it. So you got to be as calm as you can be in that. Like be funny, be relaxed, because your kids need to be relaxed too. Like if you're having to get them jacked up for that situation, you're playing an 0-9 team and you're 0-9. Like that.
Right.
If you're in that situation, your kids have earned the right to be there. Calm down a little bit with them and keep them calm. Coach did a good job, though. He also did a good job of explaining to your quarterback, because it does matter time on the clock. Like if there's 9 seconds, you have option 1, option 2, or throw it away so we get another play. If there's 35 seconds, try to run it, extend the play, go through that stuff. But we don't want to throw a pick in the game when we have another play to go. And then I always would tell my quarterback, if all else fails, throw it to your best kid. Like if everything's not there, throw it high and let our best kid have a chance at it. And the last thing I'd say is our quarterback's pretty good this year, but don't throw it out of bounds. Like if you're going to throw a ball, you want to win a game. I've yet to catch a ball that we've thrown out of bounds. So you got to keep it where we can make a play on it.
Right. I love what you talk about, add some levity. It reminded me of I believe it was Joe Montana spotting John Candy in the stands in the Super Bowl, right? Like if I remember correct, they had like 90 yards to go to win the game. And he was like, oh, hey, look, there's an actor in the stand. Like the game's on the line. We have to drive it. And he's just spotting someone in the stand. That cool, add some levity, make people relax. It's just a football game, right? It's just another play. We've done this 1,000 times. This one's just closer to the end of the game. Also, Coach, I really like what you said there about, forcing people to throw the stinking goal line fade. Talked with some defensive coaches the other day, and it was a big thing. They were like, hey, on the goal line, I want you taking the ball from the middle of the field and throwing it to a pylon in the corner, because that's the hardest possible thing for you to do right now with this pressure, knowing that I can man that guy up. if you're not quarterback sneaking it or running power or counter or whatever you're good at and you're chucking it out there, by all means, man, go have fun, right? Like if you beat us on that, we weren't supposed to win this football game. But if you beat us on power and we knew you're a power team, well, then it's a little more on us. So that's awesome. All right. So we're going to jump into our speed round here. And Brady, we're just going to let you answer the questions. We'll go with both. I like both. So we'll go speed round. I'll alternate. We'll start with Brady. Yep. So it'll go Brady and then Kenny, and then we'll flip on the next one so you don't have, a lot of time to think.
Yeah.
So here we go. Speed round. Favorite play call on 4th and short, Brady?
Quarterback power.
Kenny.
Heavy power.
There we go. Best post-game meal in your hometown, Kenny.
And probably the river is like a steakhouse.
There you go, Brady.
The gas station, because that's all we got.
There ain't a lot there, is there? Small town, baby. Let's go. Most underrated position on the field, Brady. What do you got?
The center.
Ooh, I love it. Yeah. Kenny?
Safety.
Yep. Got to go defense sometimes. Pre-game pump-up song or band. A song or a band that you like, Kenny? Pre-game.
Rage Against the Machine.
Woo! Good one. Brady, where you at?
Metallica.
I knew it was going to be Metallica. I was like, nah, small school Oklahoma. We're all out there singing some Walk, right? Coach you grew up idolizing, Brady.
Nick Saban.
Ooh, it's a good one. That's our generation, right? He was winning them all. Who you got, Kenny?
I got Don Shula.
Don Shula. That's a good one.
Winningest coach of all time.
There you go. Biggest pet peeve at practice, Kenny?
I think coaches that are talking when they should be practicing, like when they're talking to their kids instead of running the drills.
I like it. A little accountability on the coaches. Brady, what you got?
Walking.
Okay.
To where you're going. Let's do what we need to do and get out of here.
Love it. Favorite coaching cliche that actually works, Brady, where you got?
Favorite coaching cliche that actually works. Pass.
Where you got, Kenny?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. I mean, I guess you could say like, I don't know. There's a bunch of coaching cliches. Like you say, like we do find a way. Like I'm big on like losers make excuses, winners just win. I don't know if those are cliches or I made those up, but I'd go with those.
Okay. That works. Brady, one more attempt here. You move on. What's the thing you say all the time to your kids? If I ask your kids, Coach Bradbury says this.
Don't suck.
Don't suck.
Don't
I love
suck.
it. Hey, it works, right? If you don't suck, you're pretty good. All right. Last one here. Kenny, we'll start with you. One word to describe the Southerners' football.
I would hope that the word is tough.
Love it. And Brady, with you.
Grit.
Your football.
Grit.
Grit's a good one. I feel like that's a big one right now. Awesome, guys. I appreciate your time. Brady, man, it's been wonderful having you come on the show and just talk some football. Look forward to connecting with you in the future, too. Want to remind you guys about our sponsors. Please run over and check out Ace Sports. If you need a video board, Mark will hold your hand into getting that thing funded for your school. Right? 92% is the number we're at right now. 92% of schools never make a payment because they're going to hold your hand and get your donors to buy your board for you. Kenny's just done it at 2 different schools. That's all. So that's the man right there. Team Builder Practice. Team Builder, you guys know them for their strength conditioning. They've jumped into the practice realm. They're doing great things. Jump over and check it out. I believe it's you get 30 days free right now is their package. So if you go and sign up for Team Builder Practice, you get 30-day trial for free. So you can check that out. I believe it's teambuilder.com/practice. If not, Google Team Builder Practice. It'll find it for you. Winning Edge Performance Analytics. Look, that's the place you need to go. That is the best way, I think the most efficient way to spend your monies this offseason or this season, because you're buying time back for your coaches. No more spending all day Saturday tagging up your film. You're getting in-game live analytics. You're going to know what your opponent's running that's beating you. You're going to know if it's a formation. Is it a play? Is it a player they're getting the ball to? What are you doing that's working or not working? What are their adjustments? I mean, there's so many things you can see when you're tagging all of your stuff in-game. Multiple coaches can be doing it at the same time. It's a wonderful system. Coach put a lot of good effort into that. 20% off right now with 20 off coaching 101 as the promo code. Social media, Coach Bradbury. If somebody wants to reach out to you and talk about Warriors football, where can they find you at?
I'm on Facebook, Brady Bradbury, and then just my email, bradybradbury@gmail.com. I usually respond pretty quick. So anything, any football, office, defense, special teams, anything, head coaching, what not to do. It's a young guy. So anywhere there.
I love it, man. That's great. Appreciate that. I am at Coach Chambo OK on Twitter /X. You can email me at chamberlainfootballconsulting@gmail.com. I'm going to remind you about my Patreon, patreon.com/chamberlainfootballconsulting. Jump over there and pick a tier that's right for you. If you need graphics help, if you need to kind of help push your kids to the next level, you need to go over your playbook, whatever it is you need, there's a tier there that'll help you kind of get started on that. If you can't find one, just email me and we'll create you one. Kenny, where can we find you at, sir?
And all things FB Coach Simpson. So at FB Coach Simpson, FBCoachSimpson.com, FBCoachSimpson@gmail.com.
Guys, he does not sell the gun tee system enough on here. It is a wonderful system. Getting to travel to those clinics this spring was big for me, just getting to watch the system, kind of the install over and over again, and getting back into the backbone of what the gun tee is. It doesn't matter if you want to run buck and belly, or if you want to run power counter, whatever you want to pair together. Kenny's system will help you do that in, I think, the most efficient way. Adding the RPOs. It is a limited pass game, but that's what most small schools have to do, right? We just talked about a whole episode of it's hard to throw the ball, right? Running the ball is super efficient most of the time. You got to be able to do enough to survive, but jump over to the gun tee system and check it out, fbcoachsimpson.com. The podcast is at Coaching 101 Pod on Twitter. You can find all the episodes on my Facebook, Kenny's YouTube. There's a ton of places out there to find them. I want to thank you for being a listener of the Coaching 101 podcast. We'll hope you join us next week as we continue to make the complex more simple. Please consider subscribing to the show so you'll always know when the new episodes are out. We're looking for reviews now, so leave us a review. We want 5 stars. Say something nice about the podcast. Especially if you're on Apple Podcast or Spotify, that's kind of our big 2. We'll leave you with this. It's hard to beat someone who never gives up, no matter the situation. Find a way.